My name is Celestino Luis, and I am a sophomore at Grand Canyon University. And the topic and information I will be providing to you, my audience, is the essentials of using a class divided lesson in teaching our students how to overcome social injustice and overcome the biggest threat to education. The whole purpose of a class divided is to teach and prevent the downfall of education by means of social injustice. First, we must identify what social injustice means. Social injustice can mean and lead to the negative perspectives our students can receive on a certain people's culture and people's ethnicities and people's differences. Social injustice should be eliminated from the classroom and eliminated from the school grounds because it teaches students that it is okay to not only disrespect but also not acknowledge the differences that make them themselves. Social injustice doesn't only play a huge role in bullying and in other forms of disrespect towards other cultures in everyday society. It also plays a huge role in the personal perspective and the personal reflection of the student themselves. If a student cannot identify the differences between them and their fellow peers, then it makes them more inclusive rather than exclusive. We do not want inclusive students because inclusive students cannot learn how to properly use teamwork and how to properly connect with other students outside of their classroom and outside of their eventually work life as their careers progress towards down the line. Using a class divided in our classroom allows us for the students to physically and hands-on learn from themselves and learn through injustice and justice socially that they can become better students and become more exclusive to all students and of all cultures and of all ethnicities. The social level and intellect level can increase through socially teaching of justification towards other students' differences to allow them to further engage in the classroom and engage with their peers. And the best way for students to learn is to learn from peers. A teacher telling a student the information 2 plus 2 is 4 and why it equals 4 is not going to be interesting to the student. However, if a student learns from another student or from another perspective that is closely resembled to theirs, then they have a better chance of not only grasping the information, but using that information on a day-to-day basis for their everyday lives. The key words to teaching social justice is privilege, teaching our students what is a privilege, what's the difference between a privilege and a right. A privilege isn't what everyone is entitled to. There is a term such as white privilege or a term such as black privilege. And we need to teach them that everyone is entitled to their own privileges that might differ from different people, different races, and different cultures. But we cannot discriminate on privileges. The next powerful word would be power. Power is essentially a term that can be thrown around in almost any situation. We must teach our students the right use of power and how to respectfully and properly gain power. Every student in every situation must learn how to grasp power when it is their turn to get power. With great power becomes great responsibility. Without teaching our students the proper use of power, this can lead to many historic and many dramatic events in our future, which can lead students to progress down a path or develop a society that can look completely different from ours today. And the whole idea of education is to educate our students to build not only a stronger foundation for their future, but develop our current present to resemble a more better future than what we live in today. The next term would be difference, the quality or state of being dissimilar or different. We must teach students that being different isn't wrong. It is okay to have differences, and it is okay to embrace those differences. What differences make us as individuals can lead to a great society and lead to a great life. Differences make us who we are individually, and they are able to not only help us with our lives, but they also help us better relate to other people or let us want to learn about other people's differences, which increases teamwork. The final term is oppression, which is an unjust or cruel exercise of authority or power. This goes hand in hand with all three of the terms above because oppression can come from any of the above three terms, which is privilege, power, or difference. With privilege, you can oppress other people's goals and aspirations. With power, you have the power of delivering oppression directly to someone. And with differences, it gives a target for oppression. Finally, some resources to help promote a social justice future is to complicitly offer a pedagogical challenge by forcing our students to not only participate in a challenge or participate in a activity that teaches about social injustice can lead them to using that in their everyday life and actually can help them remember what the powerful meaning behind of social justice is for not only their future but for the people around them. Complicity. The next one is complicity as a political concept in art. We must be able to teach politics and teach differences through not only verbal communication but through physical and hands-on activities. If we can teach students what their differences can drastically mean in a political context or show them what certain choices or certain privileges led to certain historic events, then we can teach them that the future can be completely different and more beneficial towards differences of all people and all races and all ethnicities and all cultures. The next one is finally teaching complicity as an embodied and effective practice. We must not only encourage students and teach them about complicity in differences and cultures and ethnicities, we must teach them to practice that in their everyday lives and practice that in every aspect of their lives. Teamwork is an essential part of life. Without teamwork, you cannot live your life effectively. You cannot get a job. You cannot do good in school, and you cannot have a family, or you can't even build your life up without teamwork or the help of others. We must learn how to complicitly and everyday practice, not only as a practice, but an effective practice. Other than that, though, it is just important to teach students the power of social justice in the classroom and the importance of social justice in their everyday life. With this information, we can not only brighten today, but we can build a better tomorrow. And then here are some references I used for my information.